Good morning, everyone. Welcome along to the Blood Red Morning Bulletin, your place every weekday from 10 a.m. for the latest Liverpool FC news and transfer rumours. I'm Patrick Smith, your host for today, and I'm joined by Liverpool.com's James Martin. James, how's things going?
Yeah, very good. Nearly there, aren't we? Final pre-season game, and then there we go. Season's back. It's been, 70, 80 odd days now. So, yeah, excited that we're on the home stretch.
Yeah, it's the fifth and final pre-season friendly, as you said today. I was expecting to be starting the show by previewing Liverpool's match with Darmstadt tonight. But there's been breaking news this morning, James, I suppose, hasn't there? That we'll definitely start with. Over the weekend, there's loads of rumours about Mohamed Salah moving to Saudi Arabia potentially. I think Al Ittihad, the club Fabinho's just joined, was the main ones. But his agent this morning, hasn't he? James has come out. Rami Abbas Issa basically has ruled everything out this summer, which is a bit of a relief for lots of our listeners and Liverpool supporters who might have been fearing the worst over this Saudi-backed move.
Yeah, nice to see a Rami Abbas tweet that is met with sort of relief from the fan base rather than when he had everyone on strings during the contract situation. Well, that was resolved last summer now. But yeah, it was certainly good news. I think everyone saw that kind of mock-up of Salah in the Al Ittihad kit that was circling when the rumours got going. And obviously, it's not real, but it just, yeah, it's not something you want to see as you're scrolling through. So yeah, I suppose it set some alarm bells ringing, particularly as we've seen, the pulling power that Saudi Arabia has already. They have huge amounts of money to put on the table. People were saying the Salah deal would be worth 180 million to him over 2 years, I think it was, or something mad like that. So, you can never completely write off these links when they surface. So to see his agent come out and say, we wouldn't have signed the contract if we were thinking about leaving this summer, yeah, it's a relief.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're all being honest, we knew it was rubbish, didn't we? There's a lot of these rumours off and on. Most of the stuff we talk about on the show have been terrible rumours. But it's always nice to have it confirmed, especially by Rami Abbas Issa, as you say. It's strange to see one of his tweets and actually be delighted with it, not frustrated or, wound up by it. But let's be hypothetical, James. So, I mean, we know Mohamed Salah isn't going to leave this summer. He's got 2 years left on his deal, and the tweet does say if we would let him leave LFC this year. But let's say next summer, he'll be 32, 1 year left on his deal. A huge offer comes in from Saudi Arabia then. Would you be listening to it on that front, or would you, be trying to keep him here for the remainder of his career?
It's tricky, isn't it? I think you're basically at a kind of upgraded version of the Fabinho dilemma, aren't you? I mean, the difference being that Salah hasn't showed any signs of slowing down yet. So I suppose it really depends how this coming season goes. But yeah, on the one hand, you've got an unexpected chance to cash in on a player who you'd probably sort of written off as kind of, we're not going to make any money back on him in the transfer market, but it's worth it, more than worth it for what he's offered on the pitch and what he continues to offer on the pitch. But then, yeah, then you have to weigh up how do we replace him, and that's proving hard enough with Fabinho, even though he's been in the decline. But to replace someone like Salah, I don't think it's really possible. However much money you have to play with, however much money a Saudi Arabian club is willing
to Mbappe on a free, James.
To give you. Well, yeah, I think we all know he's probably Real Madrid bound, if we're being honest. But if the situation arose, then that would be one way of coming close to replacing Salah. But yeah, I mean, Saudi Arabia aren't going to pay Mbappe's wages for us, so I think even then that would still be fairly implausible. But yeah, I think in an ideal world, Salah would stay at Liverpool for the rest of his career. Really, we've already seen that even as he evolves as a player, he still offers so much. He's becoming more of a creator, isn't he? I mean, 6 assists, I think, in pre-season of the 15 goals we've scored, so that's not bad going by any means. Yeah, I think unless something drastic happens this season and it's clear that we may be evolving beyond him, which I don't see happening, then I'd still be inclined to fight tooth and nail to keep him next summer. But obviously you can't count anything out.
I mean, yeah, the physical condition he's in, the injury record he has, I mean, that suggests that he'll be playing till he's probably about 40, I think. So I'd be trying to keep him at Liverpool for the next, I'd say, 3 or 4 years at the very least. I think there's not going to be much decline there. It's quite similar to the Fabinho one, I suppose, that maybe you'd want to get a successor in place before before Salah goes, which may be Ben Doak, who knows? Maybe they'll bring someone in perhaps to be an understudy. So I think that's maybe where they've slightly slipped up with Fabinho. But yeah, talking of Fabinho, then let's talk about the number 6 role, because Stefan Bajcetic is back in training, James, isn't he, along with Thiago. A nice little boost to the Liverpool midfield, because numbers were looking a bit thin. I mean, we complained a lot last season about thin numbers in the midfield. Liverpool are going into this season with very thin numbers, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a bit of a worry, but like you say, those are boosts, Thiago and Bajcetic. I think Thiago is a very good number 6, to be honest. We haven't really seen him there very much at all for Liverpool, but he has this kind of reputation as being a bit of a liability. So I had a bit of a dive into the numbers, and I think that where it probably comes from is how often he gets dispossessed, which obviously you don't want from your number 6 because they're in dangerous areas, and when you lose the ball there, it can create a big chance for the opposition. And I think that's where he falls down in that department. But in terms of the kind of against the ball work, tackling, interceptions, his numbers are great. I mean, he profiles pretty similarly to Caicedo, who's been one of the most sought after number 6s on the market this summer. So yeah, when he's fit and until we get someone else through the door, I think he's probably Liverpool's best option. So if he's fit enough, I'd probably be thinking about playing him there for the opener even. But we don't know where their fitness is at. Obviously, they haven't been able to feature in pre-season just yet. Maybe we'll get a hint today if either of them can be involved at all against Darmstadt. Then maybe that's a hint they could be ready. But if we can't rush either of them back, then Curtis Jones will probably be the one to be called upon. I don't think it's a long-term solution, but he's done okay there in pre-season. It's clearly not his natural position, but he's good as a kind of deep line playmaker. He can still influence the game on the ball from that deep role. I just don't really think he has what it takes to be that Fabinho in terms of kind of snuffing out counter-attacks, breaking up play. That's just not his game, which is understandable given that, he came through the academy essentially as a winger. So,
yeah,
it's a bit of a stretch, but hopefully it's only sort of 1 or 2 games where that's the situation, and then one of Thiago or Bajcetic can be slid in, and then hopefully someone we've signed can be slid in after that. Assuming we get
them. I mean, that does sort of lead into my next question, James, because I was going to ask you, do you think Liverpool could maybe reinvent their number 6 role within the side? Because it looks like now they're going to, I mean, if they can get Lavia, brilliant. But if they can't get Lavia, it looks like they're maybe going to have to reinvent that number 6 role to a sort of quarterback position rather than a Fabinho type destroyer. I mean, do you think that could possibly work going into a season with Jones and Thiago playing as that deep line midfielder as more of a playmaker than a stopper?
Well, not really. I mean, you never know. I think a lot of other things would have to change. You can't just say, right, we're replacing the number 6 with this other different kind of player. I think you'd have to rethink a lot of fundamentals from the Klopp system. I think the high line would have to drop back. I don't think you can trust those two to kind of be protecting that on their own, and you just can't. Yeah, I mean, those in the past, Pete Fabinho has been kind of the answer. I mean, Klopp said it himself that Fabinho allowed Liverpool to play how they did, and so if you're not replacing him with another Fabinho type, then it follows that you have to change the way you play. I think that kind of goes without saying, and teams adapt, and that's fine if that's what Liverpool decides to do. But clearly, they haven't gone into the summer with that as the plan. The plan was to keep Fabinho, and so to suddenly say sort of 6 days out from the start of the season or what have you, well, we've not got who we wanted in the transfer market, so we're going to rip up the tax.
Yeah,
I don't think that's ideal, to put it lightly. So. Yeah, I mean, maybe for a game or two if the transfer is delayed, but I think it's pretty imperative that we get a proper number 6 through the door.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think it'd be an absolute recipe for disaster if they don't get a proper one through. I mean, you can't play a 3-2-5, shape on the ball and not have an actual number 6 because those defenders are going to quickly get caught out. It wouldn't be their fault. But yeah, I mean, they really, really need to get someone to the door. Hopefully, Lavia can accelerate this week. He was on the bench for Southampton at the weekend on Friday night, wasn't he, James? So maybe that hints that something might be happening there. I mean, what do you make of that move from Russell Martin?
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it? I mean, like you say, he was on the bench but didn't come on, so it's probably a good sign. It's an acknowledgement, I would say, that something is happening in the sense that they know he could move and don't want to jeopardise that by getting him injured, because obviously if he was picking his strongest team, Lavia would be in it. That should go without saying. So yeah, I think as I say, it probably is reassurance that there is still things going on behind the scenes. I don't think it necessarily is a hint that anything's got more advanced, but it shows that nothing's collapsed either. So I suppose on the whole, quite reassuring, but yeah, I wouldn't read too much into it.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't read too much into that one, but maybe there'll be some news later this week. I really hope there is before the Chelsea match, to be honest. I think today, be the last sort of friendly, get that out of the way, then they'll hopefully turn their attention to some transfers, James. I mean, maybe they'll surprise us with another midfielder as well, like when they signed Fabinho, just kind of out of nowhere in that window. I'd love to see another midfield signing like that happen, fly under the radar, Romeo Lavia maybe. Anyway, let's preview the friendly tonight then, shall we, James? So as we said at the top of the show, the fifth and final one. What are you particularly hoping to see tonight then? Do you think we'll maybe see the team that'll be starting at Chelsea on Sunday? Or do you think now's a chance for maybe some more of the fringe players to get some more minutes in their legs?
It's always hard to call what Klopp's going to do in friendlies, but you'd think it'll be more or less the strongest team, the team for Sunday. Obviously, we've got a long gap until then, almost the full week. So it's not as if there'll be a risk of unnecessarily fatiguing the players ahead of the game. So yeah, sometimes we've had the final pre-season friendly come in sort of 3-4 days before the start of the season, and it's going to be second string, but that's not the case here. So yeah, I'd imagine it would make most sense to take this last chance to see that 11 playing together, drill them in their roles so they know what they're doing ahead of Chelsea. But yeah, like I say, we could spring a surprise with the lineup could come out, and we could see a bunch of youngsters. You can never be quite sure, but if I was in Klopp's shoes, I would definitely be taking the opportunity to have one last look at sort of who's in mind for Chelsea.
Yeah, I think I'll be going for maybe 60 minutes at least with the first team, and then maybe give some of the others a big run out of bed, completely change the entire 11. But yeah, all the time will tell what happens there on that one. No one really knows what Klopp's going to do with his team today. But anyway, you'll wrap up the show there. Everyone, make sure you're following us here on the Blood Red YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcast from. We've of course got plenty of build-up, and we'll have post-match reaction to Liverpool against Darmstadt tonight. And make sure you're keeping across the Liverpool.com, Facebook, Twitter, and social media pages and websites, of course, keeping up with all the latest Liverpool transfer news and rumours and news that's going to break, because hopefully there's going to be some transfer news this week. We really, really hope there is across the midfield. But yeah, for myself, Patrick Smith, and James Martin, thank you for joining us. We'll catch you again soon on the Blood Red Morning Bulletin.